Hello everyone, this is Aegis bringing to you another series from the Collegiate Star League, and there it is, someone's dropped in the game already, and this is the Collegiate Star League Season 5, Week 5, UMBC versus George Washington University. Over here in this bottom left corner, I have Zinger XPN playing for UMBC as the green Zerg player. His opponent is going to be another Zerg player. His name is Bizilber, spawning as the red Zerg player. This is MLG Antigua Shipyards, so both players know that their opponents have spawned in cross positions, I hope. So we'll see exactly how they handle this Zerg versus Zerg. There's the little gas cancel from Zinger XPN, so he will have one extra supply for a short amount of time. Looks like we do have the Overlord hatching, and a couple additional drones will get started by Zinger XPN. Looks like Bizilber also has his Overlord spawning out. Of course, he is playing for George Washington University, if I haven't said that already. Now grabbing his gas, and Zinger XPN is grabbing his pool first, and then going to be maybe throwing down his gas. There it is coming up, and both sides do have their Overlords scouting across maps, and it looks like over here Bizilber is actually scouting with a drone, so I guess he doesn't know that on MLG Antigua Shipyards you don't get that any other spawns aside from cross from each other. MLG is tends to fix people's maps, which is always a good thing, not to have those funky spawn positions. So we do have the Overlord now scooting towards this bottom area, will be able to position itself to scout for the natural expansion eventually, and Zinger XPN does have his Overlords slowly flying across the map. And the first queen is now on the way for Zinger XPN, and Bizilber should be catching up as soon as possible with his queen as well to be able to get that extra production. Overlord's going to be crossing paths over here. Another one going to be scooting towards that natural expansion. The drone finally scouting out exactly where Zinger XPN has spawned. Zinger XPN hasn't actually scouted with a drone just because he knows he can get his Overlords into position to scout what's going on. He's also got the Zerglings out on the field. And it looks like he will be going for a Baneling's Nest, so maybe going for an early ton of pressure. It looks like he is getting a bunch of Zerglings out right now, and when that next round of larva pops off, he will be able to produce a bunch more lings and see if he can do some damage before the Bizilber's Roach Warren does finish up. Both sides are getting the metabolic boost upgrade to get those Zerglings their speed. Looks like the Zerglings will be crossing paths over here. Looks like the first hit does go to Zinger XPN. Looks like the Zerglings here going to be able to do a little bit of a surround, and the Zerglings now chasing forward, and a bunch of them retreating from Bizilber's base as well. The first Zerglings are spawning again. There's that first round of larva, and there comes another round of larva going to be popping off right now. We should be seeing a bunch more lings come up in just a second. Another vomit going down for Zinger XPN, and the Zerglings now getting their speed upgrade will be running across the field. Bizilber quickly throwing up his spine crawler, as well as getting up a couple of those roaches. We'll see if he's able to defend this. His spine crawler is still on the way. Bizilber is being forced to pull drones to help defend. It looks like a couple of Banelings are now on the way. The first Roach is out on the field as well. He's done a pretty good job of sim-citying this area, allowing the Roach and the Queen to plug up these areas. Looks like one Zergling does come out here and get picked off. Bizilber going to be advancing with his Roach, and it looks like the Banelings are now headed into the mineral line as well. And there goes one of the Banelings going to be headed in there. And oh no, losing all of the drones except for 6 of them, and there's just a few of those roaches remaining. Did he just kill off his own roach? Well, as of this point, Zinger XPN is getting very far ahead, forcing Bizilber to reproduce those drones. He's not going to be able to produce many more units for a long period of time, and here we have Zinger XPN taking his natural expansion. Zerglings continue to control the space out here. Bezilber does have control of the ramp, but it's only one layer of roaches, so those Zerglings, if they wanted to, they could try to bust through by getting a couple of those banelings and trying to bust those roaches down. Zinger XPN now getting his own roach warren, and looks like UMBC is in a good position to be able to take this first game with that very early economic lead. Let's take a look at the harvester count. Looks like Bezilber is starting to climb back up a little bit, but Zinger XPN is still very much far ahead in terms of that harvester count. His natural expansion will also be finished real soon to give him that extra boost of production as well as that extra income. It looks like Zinger XPN also throwing down an Evo Chamber will be able to get those upgrades later on the game, as well as block off this area a little bit more. He does have a couple of gaps here, but with this queen in position, she should be able to defend against any Zergling run-bys. And it looks like a couple of Zerglings trying to run into the main. Looks like a couple do make it, but there are roaches in position. They're just coming in here to scout exactly what's going on. And Zinger XPN sees that there is no lair. And we'll see what his response is. We should be seeing a lair out of Zinger XPN real soon. He is continuing to mine that gas. He's up to 200 plus gas in the bank right now. He is getting the +1 melee attacks, missile attacks for those roaches. He's also throwing down a bunch of spine crawlers just in case. And Bezilber finally getting out here to be able to take his natural expansion. He's actually ahead in terms of the food count. Actually getting up in terms of harvesters as well, so he's got the larger army and almost the same number of harvesters as of this moment. There's a bunch of spine crawlers over here for Zinger XPN to help him defend. He had to spend a couple of drones on that. He's now grabbing the gas at his main as well. The lair is now on the way for both players, and it looks like more drones coming out for both players as well. Creep tumors now starting to spread out a little bit to be able to get those spine crawlers in a little bit of a better position. But Zinger XPN does get the natural expansion up, so he's going to have slightly more efficient mining. As we see, he does have a slightly higher mineral income, as well as somewhat similar gas income as well. There's another vomit going down. The production is just going to be huge coming out of Zinger XPN for quite a long time. The creep tumors continuing to spread, and it looks like the drones now transferring over for Bezilber, going to be starting to mine at the natural expansion. Double gas coming up as well. The spine crawlers repositioning themselves up at the front, going to be able to create a nice choke over here against any sort of roaches running by or lings running by. And Aspire is now on the way for Bezilber, so we'll see what Zinger XPN's response is going to be. There's Aspire coming up. He's not really getting too many other units. Another Evo Chamber coming up at the front. He's going to have to hit a pretty sweet timing with those Mutalisks, or else they'll be completely useless against the foreseeable infestors, which Zinger XPN surprisingly is not yet getting. He does have a lair completed, so we'll see him probably throw that down real soon. There's an Overseer trying to see what's going on. Looks like it does get chased out of there by this single queen over here. Bezilber does have his queen slightly out of position. Her energy is rising up quite a bit, not really getting those vomits down on point. He is doing it fairly well at the natural expansion, and there's the queen returning to the lair to be able to throw down that vomit. And Zinger XPN now surging ahead of his opponent in terms of the food count, going up to 84 food, getting a couple more roaches as well as some additional Zerglings. He is throwing down spore crawlers to help defend against those impending mutas. Now 4 mutas on the way. He's also pushing out the field with his roaches and lings. He's going to see if he can bust the front here. A couple of lings do run up there. Looks like Zinger XPN is going to try and go for it. There are not too many roaches out for Bezilber, and he's going to be forced to micro back a little bit. There is a spine crawler trying to poke away. It is focusing down the weakened roaches. Looks like not anymore. Down goes that spine crawler, and the Mutalisks do pop out, but a lot of units are going to be lost here for Bezilber, and in the meantime, Zinger XPN is going to be able to do whatever he needs to do to combat those mutas, and it looks like a bunch of drones are going down as well. workers killed by Zinger XPN, now up to 18. The Roaches continuing to chase after those units over there. A couple of Lings popping out as well. Looks like they will get cleaned up very easily. And the Roaches getting back to the corner there, and it looks like the Mutas are going to be able to clean up relatively soon, but those Roaches are tanking a ton of damage. A couple of Zerglings also running into the main, possibly trying to pick off a couple of units over there. The last Roach does fall for Zinger XPN, but he's going to be able to take out the Evo Chamber as well. 5 more Mutas on the way for Bazilber, and Zinger XPN looking pretty good right now. He does have the Spore Crawlers as well as the ability to make Hydralisks to help defend against those Mutas, and a couple of Zerglings also getting into the main, going to be chewing away a couple of those drones. Looks like the hold position micro was being used, and a total of 25 workers killed by Zinger XPN so far in Bazilber. Not much mining at the natural expansion. Another Queen Mayfall, down she goes, and Zinger XPN getting 10 Hydras right now to help defend against those Mutas, and they're trying to get across map right now, even ignoring those Overlords, just trying to get over there to do damage as quickly as possible. And there they are trying to pick off a couple of those Overlords, but the Hydras are now hatching. There's a couple out in the field already. Spore Crawlers doing a very nice spread to be able to defend against the Mutas, and I don't think those Mutas are going to be able to do any damage at all, and they're going to run right into those Hydras. They do not yet have the Groove Spines upgrade, otherwise they could have taken down a couple of Mutas there, as they do such high DPS. A couple of those Mutas going to be swinging to the backside to see if they can do some damage. It looks like they will be able to pick off a couple more of these Overlords. Looks like the Speed Overlord upgrade is done, and Zinger XPN can easily pull all of his Overlords back or try to run them away, as he is doing now. Looks like the Hydras are going to begin advancing across the field, and the Creep Tumors are also bringing it forward. And in the meantime, Bazilber is trying to make a couple of Roaches to combat those Hydras, and the Mutas are going to be flying back in here, but there are Spore Crawlers everywhere, so it doesn't even matter that the Hydras are not in position. Looks like they will be flying straight over those Hydras, losing 2 of those Mutas. Not a good position to be in for Bazilber. He's still trying to remake those Roaches, getting up to 11 Roaches in just a moment. And here comes the large Hydra Roach army. The Roaches do have their speed complete. 11 more Roaches going to be popping for Zinger XPN to chase after this army. And Zinger XPN may be looking to take a third base. There it is coming up. I saw the drone moving out to deduce that it must be a third base. And it looks like the Roaches and the Hydras are going to be advancing over here. They do take down one of those Spine Crawlers trying to come up. Looks like the Roaches are not very high in number. The Roach, look at the range on those Hydras, just taking everything down. Nice dancing by those Hydras. Looks like they will be able to rush in here and take down everything. There's nothing that Bazilber can actually do against this. The hatch will be falling shortly as well. The focus fire going down on that. Looks like the Lings and the Roaches trying to advance forward and quickly getting taken down along with all of the Mutas. GG out of Bazilber, and this first game goes to Zinger XPN from Team UMBC. And we're going to be headed to MLG's Elnaga Caverns for Game 2 between UMBC and George Washington University in the Collegiate Star League.